What's up, YouTube? GC Off-Road, back for the next project. Alright guys, so what I've done is I've made a center console here. It's basically the factory armrest was cracked. Instead of just finding a new one, I had cut the front and used to have my CB radio installed in the front of it. And the problem with that was, with the weight of it, every time I'd flip it up and fold it back, it would want to crack where the screws were at. I folded it up, it fell backwards, and it cracked it. So I took it off, I fiberglassed the whole thing. It's pretty tough now. It ain't got no flex to it. I took it and covered the back with a piece of Kydex, cut it and glued it in. It works alright. But what I've done is I relocated my CB and my radio. Sorry guys, just got a text. What I've done is I've relocated my CB and my radio under the cover. Like that. And all I did was took a 1/2-inch piece of plywood, cut it out, or cut out the holes for the radio and everything to fit in. Covered it with the material, spray glued it, covered it, and stapled the bottom. And then I installed the sleeve that goes with the radio here into it, folded the tabs out and screwed it into place, and then dropped my Pioneer Bluetooth in. And over here you can see I've got my Midland CB. And this is just where a small switch panel goes. I've got a fusible link that runs into the wiring harness that I've rigged up for this. I've got a secondary switch that controls the power to it. And that's what this switch panel here is for. I gotta finish the wiring on it when I put my switches back in the front for my fog lights and some other things I had. But I made that, screwed it into the bottom here, and you can see the console still moves where I've not got the carpet in here anymore. I gotta tie that down still, but form and fit, it works pretty good. All I gotta do is just lay my cord up there on the top. Everything folds up and it sits pretty good. Alright, so after I relocated that, I was left with this gaping hole up here in the dash. Well, since I already had all my switches and all back here on the center console, I decided not to make a switch panel for up front here. So what I thought about doing was taking and finding one of them little cubby trays out of another truck that would fit it. But I've yet to find one that matches up with this one that I can just bolt it on, that's anywhere close to the same size. So what I'm going to do is take and make a fiberglass mold and form my own box. Alright guys, what I've done is I've made a plug, or a part of a mold, for the cubby box for my dash that I showed y'all earlier. What I did is I went and bought some of this styrofoam and I cut it out to my measurements, glued it together with hot glue, and then I sanded the corners smooth and I leveled the surfaces out with a sanding block and some 80 grit sandpaper. Got it to the size I wanted, and then I ended up taking it and wrapping it with blue painter's tape. It's kind of got a waxy coating on the outside, and I didn't think it would work, but when I made my test pattern last night and made the previous box, the fiberglass separated from the wax tape pretty good. So I'm hoping that it'll slide out and give me a good pattern. That's where we're at. I'm going to get this connected to this cardboard base here for the transition where it mounts to the dashboard. And I'll come back before I start fiberglassing and show y'all what the plug looks like. Alright guys, you can see I've got the plug, which is this part, taped down to the base all the way around. Got a pretty smooth transition, so it should work alright. I'm going to take and pre-cut some fiberglass pieces now for it and get ready to go out and fiberglass it. Alright guys, oh, here's the box that I made. I just got it fiberglassed up. Got several good layers of the matting on it and sealed it with the well, that's no good. As you've seen, I got the box laid up and fiberglassed. Got about 3-4 coats of glass laid down on it. Used probably about half a tin of that resin, so it's covered good. Now the only thing to do is let it sit and cure out. So next day, I got the pattern pulled off the mold I made, and here's what it turned out like. I took and trimmed about 1.5 inches off the front for the length of it because it was a little too long once I layered up the fiberglass, and I had to cut a notch in it right here because there's a piece of plastic on the inside where the radio mounts to that I didn't take into account when I molded it, so had to notch that out. But what I'm going to do right now is get to cutting out the fabric and start aligning it. Alright guys, you see except for that corner back here, which I couldn't get, which I ain't gonna see it anyways, I got my cubby hole wrapped with some kind of felt material. So I'm gonna go in and saw this thing here in a minute and pop the cover on it and see how it looks. And it's a little bit off from where the hole is in my console panel, so I'm gonna take this extra stereo face that matches up to my dash and I'm gonna trim it down a little bit and see if I can get it to fit as a faceplate for it. Alright guys, as you can see, I got my custom little cubby hole installed. I didn't use the faceplate from the old radio, decided against using it. So once I got everything put in and laid up, this is what I got. It's got a little bit of flex to it, but it'll seat out in time, and I like it. I think it turned out pretty good. It only cost me about $20 to make it, and I like the fit. So I'm going to throw this dash back together and move on to the next project. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and check out my other builds.